Hello and welcome. You are watching Business Today TV. This is Market Today. I'm Sakshi Batra and with me is Shail Bhatnagar, editor for markets on Business Today TV. Well, the markets ended almost flat yesterday after a very narrow trading session as investors traded cautiously awaiting the cues from the US Fed. But will earnings and the IMF's revised growth guidance for India really lift sentiments is something that we will focus on. All of that coming up, but first up the top headlines this hour. Equities are in a pause mode globally as traders and investors await US Fed's move on interest rates and the fine print of its planned battle against inflation. A 25 basis points rate hike is baked into the prices, strategists say. And it's T-1 on Indian markets as July's fabulous expiry draws to a close. Nifty remains in struggling mode after a record rally. Earnings to define sentiment from now on. Very good morning to you, Shail. Well, it's a very heavy rainy morning here in Delhi NCR for all our viewers. Yesterday for the markets, narrowest trading range for the Nifty in the last 2 weeks that we have seen, just about 114-point range. It failed to close above that 19,700 mark. But on the bright side, we've also not slipped below 19,600. What are you watching out for in the markets today?
Absolutely, Sakshi. We have clean, bright skies in Delhi thanks to this downpour that we had early morning. But sentiment is clouded. And it's clouded because, one, we've had a fantastic run-up so far in July, up about 4% on Nifty and 3.9% on Bank Nifty. It's been a roaring rally to record high levels. And as of now, not only are we awaiting a global event which unrolls today evening on the US markets, the other point is that, the market is struggling at this level. Not really attention now because we've seen a fantastic 1,300 point run up, of which about 300 to 400 points have been taken back by the market. So a fine state of play as of now. We are in pause mode, seeking direction not only from the US Federal Reserve but from the overall earnings theme as well. The point I'm trying to make here is that all good earnings are getting sold into, as you saw in the banking space, and a bit of negativity is creeping into the market wherever you see corporate news falling short of traders and investor standards. ITC being a prime example. We've seen 3 days of continuous profit booking, and banks, despite stellar earnings, record NIMs, very high profit margins, which have beaten all expectations, refuse to move up. That's true for Reliance Industries as well. So the overall sentiment that we see in the market for the moment is struggling for direction, and that direction will be set by 10 EMA on the Nifty, somewhere like 19,650, 19,600. That's a broad theme where you see a lot of put support coming in the options chain. And if you look at the range as of now, it's 19,500, 600 to 19,750, 19,800 if you see the options data on Nifty. That's what I'm looking at. But you might see the Nifty and the Bank Nifty struggling. But it's a great party happening outside in the broader indices, NSE 500 for example. Unbelievable amount of value getting unlocked in the entire PSU banking space. Government companies, defense companies, beaten down counters in the metal space, and all of them completely from the government PSU basket. Sakshi.
Absolutely. Now, Shail, on the Nifty Bank as well, the index fell for the third straight session. The index has declined about 350 odd points over these last 3 sessions. It has failed to close above the 46,000 mark yet again. Here, what are you watching out for today?
So, Sakshi, like I said, whether it's the Nifty or the Bank Nifty or the Nifty IT index, traders have left them to their own tools and how should I say, options chains. Bank Nifty is also not doing anything at all in a tight, narrow range, as you mentioned, 3 days of declines that we've seen. It topped out at about 46,000 and it seeks some kind of a move coming in from bigger banks, but neither HDFC Bank nor ICICI, Axis or SBI are able to handhold the index to fresh record highs. So it's a sideways to down track on this index as well. If you remember our commentary on Monday, I had said that the last week of the monthly expiry will be a sideways to consolidating to weak zone on both the Nifty and the Bank Nifty, and that's sort of playing out beautifully. If you look at the Bank Nifty statistics, 46,000 is a very strong resistance according to options data, and you're seeing very strong support coming in at 45,600, even 45,200. So I would imagine 45,200 to 4600 is the daily trading range of the Bank Nifty. Yet there is nothing happening on any of the four major stocks, which is ICICI, Axis, HDFC and State Bank of India. They are just narrowing down, waiting for a sense of direction, whether the Nifty will go below 10 EMA or again reclaim its 5 EMA peak. We don't know, but so far everything and every eye is only on Jeremy Powell. Let's see what he says today evening. And tomorrow is the monthly expiry for our markets. Friday is a new day, a new month, and possibly a greater month for Nifty as well. Sakshi.
Absolutely, Shail. And I was coming to the expiry. It's the penultimate day. What are the cues that you are looking at, and any particular stocks that will be in focus?
So, Sakshi, like I said, forget the Nifty and the Bank Nifty. The action is purely in the government PSU basket, and it's panning out beautifully, in beaten down counters. Look at Steel Authority of India, a very sharp rise in traded volume. Open interest is also fairly good. You've seen a super bullish phase coming into the metal space. Yesterday, all the top gainers in the F&O space were private and public metal outfits. So Steel Authority of India at about 92.55. Remember, a lot of people also play on the price ticket. So it's just sub 100, 92 rupees, and the lot size is 8,000. So these are the stocks which are really into very high momentum. Gas Authority, a very strong increase in open interest, 9% there. The stock rising 4% yesterday. At the moment at 116. Just focus on the price points. Lot size is about 91.50. Very strong delivery patterns also coming on Gas Authority, about 105% rise in delivery on Tuesday versus Monday. Apart from that, National Aluminium, again 3% higher, price ticket 95 rupees. Super bullish on metals, lot size is 7,500. Very sharp increase in open interest, about 7.6%. And of course, delivery statistics are something that dreams are made of, up about 1.7x on National Aluminium on Tuesday versus Monday. We'll also track Tata Motors, we'll also track Ashok Leyland. Very good news coming in for Tata Motors DVR shareholders, which we'll discuss a little later. But these are pure technical, chart-based, and more importantly, data-based picks in the market, which might do well on the long side. Sakshi.
Absolutely. We'll circle back to all of these stocks once the pre-open also hits, and we have our external guests also joining in.
Absolutely.
But let's also look at how the global cues have shaped up overnight. We got positive cues from the global markets, especially the US markets. They ended higher again. The Dow Jones up for the 12th straight session, up 5% in the last 12 sessions. So a remarkable move right there. The Nasdaq and the S&P 500 also ended higher in trade yesterday. Now, apart from the US markets, the Asian Pacific market, they were largely mixed or down towards the downside in the early morning trading session. Investors are bracing for the US Federal Reserve rate decision tonight that will impact our global domestic markets tomorrow morning. The GIFT Nifty indicated a muted start, right in the early morning trades. When we talk about the flows, they have turned positive as far as the foreign inflows are concerned in the Indian markets. Now, after 2 days of sell-off, we've seen buying coming in from the FIIs to the tune of almost 1,100 crore rupees, while the DIIs have sold 334 crore rupees in yesterday's trade. So, just like how you're pointing out, Shail, that the FII sell-off should not be paid too much attention to. It's just mild profit booking. They've come back. into the Indian markets yet again. But anything that
Yes.
you would want to talk to our viewers about how the US Fed's move of expectation of 25 basis points might impact our domestic markets?
Sakshi, I'll be completely honest. I track Indian markets in great depth, and I just see the chart on the Dow and the Nasdaq. I track them via the ETFs, and they're doing fantastically well. I know only two things. One, a 25 basis point rate hike is there in the price of every single index and every single stock. There is no hard or soft landing happening in the US. If you look at the earnings statistics of S&P 500, about 125 companies have come up with earnings. 76% have outperformed on the revenue, 64% have outperformed on the profit. This is when borrowing costs have gone up by 500 basis points. So the Fed is fighting a losing battle against inflation. Rates are likely to remain high for an extended period in the US, and in our case, that makes us very, very attractive to global market. Just remember 4 points, and that's how you track the US universe. That's it.
Okay, we will definitely keep an eye out on as to how all of these points really impact the Indian markets. But coming back to the domestic market action and also the primary market space that has been buzzing of late, there's another IPO that's opening today, and my colleague Pawan Nahar joins in to share all the details of that. Yatharth Hospital IPO opens today. Pawan, take it away. What are the key details here? What should investors watch out for?
Good morning, Shail. Good morning, Sakshi. So, initial public offering of Yatharth Hospital and Trauma Care Services will open for subscription today, and issue can be subscribed till Friday, that is July 28th. So, the multi-care hospital chain is selling its shares in the range of rupees 285 to 300 per share, and the lot size has been fixed at 50 shares in a lot. So, the company is looking to raise rupees 687 crores from its primary stake sale, and it includes a fresh equity sale of rupees 490 crores and offer from sale from its existing promoters, namely Vimla Tyagi, Prem Narayan Tyagi, and Meena Tyagi, for offloading around 65.5 lakh equity shares from their stake. And Yatharth Hospital, as the name suggests, is a hospital chain which operates 4 super specialty hospitals located in Noida, Greater Noida, Noida Extension, and all of these hospitals are located in Uttar Pradesh. So half of the issue is reserved for QIBs, which are the institutional investors, and retail investors will get 35% of the stake, and remaining 15% shares will be allocated to non-institutional investors. So company sites Apollo Hospitals, Fortis Healthcare, Narayana Hridayalaya, Max Healthcare Institute, and Krishna Institute of Medical Studies, along with Vedanta as its listed peers. And Intensive Financial Services, Ambit, and IFL Securities are the lead running managers to the issue, where Lincoln Time India has been appointed as a registrar for the issue. Majority of the brokerage firms are positive on the issue. Reliance Securities, Canara Bank Securities, Marwari Financial Services, and Hensex Securities all have subscribe rating for the issue. However, JNM Broking has given it a neutral rating. So that's all from my side. Over to you, Sakshi.
All right, many thanks, Pawan, for sharing all of those details. One of the largest private hospitals here in Delhi, NCR, one of the top 10 largest hospitals opening the IPO today. All the details are up for you right here, but we will definitely speak to our guests and get their views as well as to whether this makes for a good bet, and this is something that you should be subscribing to as well. Shail, anything else in the hospital space that you should be looking at? Because, this is a new entrant. We already have a lot of players right there. Would this make sense for investors, to add on to the list?
Sakshi, I'm telling you, this IPO will again be oversubscribed substantially. We are sitting in probably one of the greatest bull markets of independent Indian history. Therefore, nobody will get anything. It will get listed at a pop, just as all IPOs have over the last 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
But the listed hospital space is near record highs. If you look at Medanta, if you look at Narayan Hirdale, if you look at Artemis,
Apollo
and if you
hospitals
look
also.
at Fortis, of course Apollo Hospital, all of them are in the upper quartile of their top valuations in terms not only of price but on how you value the market. So of course there is going to be a heavy demand for this IPO, but like I said, subscription levels will be so high that all of us will be wringing our hands like this ki kuch nahi mila, and then there will be a pop-up on the listing day, and like I said, it's a classic bull market that we are sitting in, and that's how the story is.
Absolutely. So we'll keep an eye out on the subscription figures. We'll continue to, tell you that all across our BTTV platforms as well. So watch out for those indications. Let me also welcome my colleague Akansha Chaturvedi now. And she's here with all the earnings that we got after the market hours. Two key earnings, definitely the big ones that came out. Let's start off with Tata Motors. Akansha, strong set numbers there. Could you share the details right there?
Yes, good morning, Sakshi. Good morning, Shail, sir. And so this is a stock that you've been talking about earlier this week as well. And Tata Motors is going to remain in focus today. The company posted a 42% uptick in revenue in its Q1 results. They fared just as well as street estimates, and I think just as well as Shail, sir's estimates as well. This positive result is fueled by the improved margin of its passenger vehicle business and robust sales from its luxury car units, which is Jaguar Land Rover. So what has worked out for them this time is that the free cash flow they've remained free cash flow positive, driven by strong improvement in cash profits, and this is a result that their net automotive debt has also gone down. And brokerage houses also see this as an opportunity for the time to come. Jefferies, for example, has given this a buy rating, and they've also raised the target from 700 to 800 rupees. So, Shailzad, I just wanted to ask you, do you think this is the strongest auto player now? And what are your views on the auto sector?
Hi, Akanksha. Good morning. Such a pleasure to have you on the show on a regular basis. I would imagine that Tata Motors, apart from the stunning earnings that it has announced, is also going to react to a very important development, which is the extinguishing of its DVR notes, which are listed on the market. So that's how it is. Undoubtedly, it's a very, very strong stock, and it's doing fantastically well on its earnings. I would imagine that it's overheated at the moment, and it doesn't make sense to enter at this level. Maybe a bit of a correction, and then it's going to slate higher. Sakshi.
Right. Akansha, you also have the earnings details of L&T as well. Apart from the corporate development right there, the earnings were important to note. So what are the key details right there?
So they've also announced stellar results, the results that have beaten the analyst estimates. The consolidated revenue for the quarter climbed 34%, the net profit surged around 40%. So what is interesting is the fact that domestic order wins grew nearly by 60%, and the company has announced a special dividend as well. And this is expected that the company is going to perform well in the coming quarters. The management commentary says that with general elections coming up next year, they believe that the deal flow is going to improve and they're going to make more revenue in the times to come. And brokerage houses also see this as an opportunity. CLSA has said that they've given it a buy rating. Apart from that, they've also improved the target and given the target of around 3,080 rupees. Back to you, Sakshi.
Wonderful. So these two earnings are the ones that are going to impact markets today, Tata Motors and L&T. Very good time to welcome our guest and dear friend, Mr. Gaurang Shah. Gaurang, welcome to the show. He represents Geojit Financial Securities, a very, very strong play that is there in the markets. Always a pleasure to have you, Gaurang, on our show. How do you feel as of now? As far as the market sentiment is concerned, and then we'll discuss a specific stock with you which you like at present levels. Over to you, Gaurang.
Thank you, Shail, and always a pleasure to be here. Good morning to all of you all. Good morning, Sakshi. Uh, I think Friday we saw a little bit of deep correction. Monday, a follow-on of that correction that we saw last week on Friday. Yesterday, I would say it was basically markets was trying to find a ground. Uh, I get surprised, Shell, with the kind of attitude that people have in terms of correction that we saw. Unfortunate part, Shell, is that they look at 1200 points correction. That is Friday, 888 points, 300 points on Monday, 25 odd points yesterday. So, if you look at the base of the Sensex and Nifty, that is at 67,500, even if you get a 2,000 point correction, Shell, in percentage term, it is what? It is negligible. And I think if you are participating in equity market and if you don't have the appetite
Absolutely.
to digest 4, 5, 10% kind of correction, which is very normal in stock market, then I think you should better not come into the stock market. I very humbly, with folded hands, tell all those people who look at stock market as a punting bet. It is not. It is an investment platform to create wealth over a longer period of time. I would be surprised if you get 1,000, 2,000 points correction at 15,000 Sensex. It's a total different game altogether. But at 67,500, if you get a 1,200 point correction,
Absolutely.
it's hardly 1.65%. So, I mean, people have to look at it in a perspective, not in terms of points, but see it in terms of percentage. Coming back to the market, I think it's a great time to get invested into equity markets. And I always ask myself this question, Shell. People are talking about FIs coming back and buying lock, stock, and barrel. But I question the wisdom. At 15,000, you sell India and you go. At 19,500, you come and buy India. I mean, I don't know what logic that is. But having said that, I think the corporate earnings, the numbers, monsoon, inflation, GDP growth rate, GST collection, I think we are possibly setting ourselves for the level that possibly nobody would have thought about. And I'll tell you one thing more, Shell. Unfortunately, we need foreign brains to
Absolutely.
convince us that kind of potential that we have. I don't know why. I mean, we are ourselves
Yes.
capable enough to go towards the newer trajectory, newer horizon. It's only a matter of time. So give your investments some time, give stock market some time. These kind of corrections are always healthy. Shall I always maintain that? And it creates an environment and a platform wherein a lot of people come and participate. And retail investors are growing thick and thin by the day. I mean, the numbers in June, as far as DP accounts are concerned, are witness or testimony to that. So, extremely positive. You will have one odd quarter of little bit of disappointment in earnings, but I don't think that could change the long-term trajectory.
Wonderful. Gaurang, long ago I read a beautiful comment from Mr. Warren Buffett, and he said, this world lacks patience, and it wants it very quickly. So one of those things that we enjoy as long-term investors is the short-term nature of the market. It allows volatility and price disruptions, which make life wonderfully well financially productive for long-term investors like you. Okay, let's discuss an individual stock. What catches your fancy at this level on the index as also in the broader market?
Well, Shell, two again, investment ideas, because I look at companies fundamentally, I look at markets fundamentally, and I think the quarterly earnings that are unfolding this financial year first quarter, we've seen two names unfolding their quarterly earnings. First one is, of course, a bank which was known to be a notorious bank, but have changed the fortunes for good in terms of the business strategy at ground level, and that is IndusInd Bank. Last week, they delivered numbers. It was a stellar set of a number. And my sense is that this particular bank is possibly, positioning itself for the next leap of growth. So IndusInd Bank is the first one, possibly 1,600 kind of targets over a longer period of time. The second one, Shell, would be Ashok Leyland. It was in red. It came out, stabilized itself. The balance sheet started reporting flattish kind of numbers over the last financial year quarters. And this time around, 73% jump in the profitability and earnings. And I think the potential that lies in front of this particular company, Ashok Leyland, is tremendous. be it in terms of light, medium commercial vehicle, heavy commercial vehicle. Come Diwali, you are going to see an LCV in electric avatar EV. I think 225 on Ashok Leyland cannot be ruled out. And not to forget, after being an underdog, it has become a darling in terms of investors community. So even at 182 or 180 wherever it closed yesterday, I think it's a great investment idea.
Let me just share some more details that we have on Ashok Leyland. Of course, both Ashok and Indices belong to the same business group, which is the Hindujas. At the moment, the market capitalization is 53,600 crores, and the revenue is not far off, which is 42,900 crores. So the stock is not overpriced in terms of fundamentals, at least that is what data says. And as Gaurang pointed out, it's already at a record high, somewhere like 180 that I remember offhand as far as Ashok Leyland is concerned, 182.70. It's been one of the top performers in the not only the auto space but also in the broader market when you see at it. So these are 2 or 3 stocks which Ashok Leyland finds fancy with Gaurang. Apart from that, of course, the stunning numbers that we've seen on the financial space in Ashok Leyland, Gaurang, what else attracts you to it? Is it something to do with its commercial vehicle output, which is rising dramatically, or just the demand that we are seeing in the market for commercial vehicles?
So, Shail, first of all, it's the only company which is into CV segment, that is commercial vehicles, and it's across the category. Secondly, I think the demand for replacement is going to increase considerably, be it in terms of scrappers policy, be it in terms of demand from fleet owners, be it in terms of the business transactions getting registered online via e-commerce platform, and of course the potential that this particular company has. My sense is that purely because of the light balance sheet that it has got, or the leverage that it has, my belief is that this could be one of the outperformers in the auto sector in terms of return on investment, ROI. And now that the balance sheet is coming out clean, I think re-ratings on the higher level will definitely be something that people will be watching out for. And not to forget, there are times, Shell, when people get tired of holding a stock because of its underperformance or sideways performance. But once the stocks start performing, case in point, you just mentioned, I think I heard you talking about Tata Motors, which came out with numbers yesterday. These two are, the underdogs of the auto industry, were rather. But look at it. I mean, at 380, 350, nobody wanted to touch Tata Motors. At 125, 130, nobody wanted to touch Ashok Leyland. But today, everybody's talking about these two stocks.
Right.
Absolutely. And one more interesting thing, Gaurang, is that if you look at how highways are shaping up in India, I keep a very close eye on the number of trucks with the multiple wheels that I see. So there is a change that is happening in India where multiple multi-axle trucks are coming into the fore, because they obviously have to carry heavier loads as the economy expands. And that's only going to help 2 companies in India, Tata Motors and Ashok Leyland. Sakshi, 19,700 on the Nifty, the pre-open numbers are in. What are you looking at?
Absolutely, Shail. The sharper decline that we are seeing on pre-open on the Sensex is something that we should avoid. 866, 946 points down right now. So let's avoid this number, 1.5%. Let's wait for it to settle down. But the Nifty is in the green, and that's a positive start, 19,716 as of now. Let's look at the numbers from L&T, for example. Of course, earnings, and after that the board has approved the share buyback news as well. Let's see how that is sticking up. 5.4% higher at 2,700 in the pre-open trade. Let's also look at Tata Motors and Tata Motors DVR. We've seen big news coming in on that front as well. The company will now cancel all its DVR shares, and give Tata Motors shareholders shares in return of Tata Motors DVR2. So 5% uptick right now, 672. Let's look at UTI AMC. That reported strong showing. Yesterday we were taking a check of the AMC counters as well. Let's see if there is any move on that one. Let's also look, so 6.14% up at 860 right now. Shail, what are you watching at?
So let me just start with the good news, Sakshi. Tata Motors DVR shareholders are going to rejoice today. A 20% uptick, which is the circuit limit at 449. Tata Motors, of course, 3.5% higher at 660. Let's now get back to the basics as far as the markets are concerned. Stocks which make up the heaviest component of the index. Okay, a bit of disturbing numbers that I see. Let's start with Infosys. It's flat at 1450. Now, of course, sensible numbers coming in. ICICI Bank 1.3% lower, 1039. Reliance Industries 2.2% lower, 2678. Remember, these rates will improve. State Bank of India green, 0.6% higher, 670. I would really doubt that number. L&T 4.7% higher, 2816, fresh record high. And I want to see what HDFC Bank is doing. Flat at 1781. I think let's ignore these rates. They don't have any relation to reality. They're going to settle down better. Let's look at the broader markets in the F&O space. I see Biocon ticking very well, 1.75% higher, 250. Let's look at the low price space. PNB, 61 rupees, 0.5% higher. Steel Authority 92.80, 0.6% higher. National Aluminium 1.2% higher, 96. BHEL chugging it away, 0.3% higher, 98. NMDC 0.5% higher, 112.75. Gas Authority 1% higher, 117.50. Broader markets, let's go to NSE 500. And let me tell you the top gainers. We've discussed Tata Motors DVR 20% higher, 449. Jyoti Labs, second day of gains, 9% higher, 318. Another pack that we need to look at today is the Adani Group. A lot of analyst and investor meets planned. The stocks went up fairly sharply yesterday, and we have 4% uptick on Adani Green, 1132. Adani Transmission 4% higher, 689. I'm very keen to find out what ATGL is doing, 0.5% higher, 848. So Sakshi, 56 points higher, 19,737. Let's get Gaurang back into the conversation. Gaurang, anything that catches your fancy in the mid-cap space? You've discussed a blue chip IndusInd Bank. Where do you find value in the market at this level?
Mid-cap IT share is something that I'm extremely excited about. Though the market is a little bit underweight after last week's number announcement by Infosys. And of course, we saw the entire sector go into a tailspin on down south. But my sense is that companies like KPIT Tech, Persistent Systems, Science Limited, these are some companies that create value for investors over a longer period of time. And I'm not worried about the headwinds in the immediate short to medium term share. I absolutely agree that for the next 3-6 months, there will be difficult times for IT sector to, gather its guts and start performing. But if you're not looking at these short to medium term headwinds, and if you are in for the long haul, then I think over the next year and a half, IT sector will bounce back with its glory and guts. And I'm sure at that point of time, markets would be chasing or running to buy IT stocks. So I think these are the times wherein you need to possibly look at sectors and stocks like information technology, which has got tremendous value in terms of wealth creation. So look at mid-cap IT names. I think that's where you could possibly place yourself in terms of growth going forward from here on.
Okay, Gaurang, I wanted to understand your views on Tata Motors and Tata Motors DVR now, and how should investors now approach this stock?
Jakshi, at 350, 380, like I mentioned earlier, it was an untouchable. And now this particular stock has become the darling of the auto sector. purely because of the kind of tremendous turnaround. And the management has also mentioned about making this company or the balance sheet debt free. Look at the top end, high end margin products like GLR. It was a crazy number that came out, and my sense is that slowly, steadily, we'll see this momentum picking up, even on the domestic front as far as their passenger vehicles are concerned, be it Harrier, Safari, Nexon, Punch, commercial vehicle business. I think all of them, they have got a product mix which has got offering for each and every segment, and that's what the wonderful thing about Tata Motors is. I think because of this DVR news or whatever be it, you may see a little bit of extra bounce in the stock. But I mean, we are, and we will definitely remain positive on Tata Motors. Even at 350, 380, when the entire world wanted to, stay away from Tata Motors, we stood by it because we believed in the strength and the capability and capacity that Tata Motors have over a longer period of time. So I wouldn't be surprised stocks getting re-rated going forward from here on fallback for early visibility.
Absolutely, Gaurang. The beauty of a blue chip when it moves is that it just proves the idiom that elephants can dance, and that is where people make a fabulous amount of money. Tata Motors, yes, and Ashok Leyland, yes. Let's get back to the pre-open trade. Nifty is now settled 52 points higher, 19,700. So that's been defended. 733 on the index. Let's look at the gainers amongst the heavyweights. I have Reliance, which is flat. Let's leave it. Infosys 0.6% higher, 1343. HDFC Bank flat in the green, 1700. L&T 2590 post earnings, 1.2% higher. That's a record high. We have a good uptick on ITC, 56 points higher at 464. Kotak and ICICI Bank opening flat. So that's how it is, at least in the Nifty. In the FNO space, the top gainers are Piramal Enterprises, 3.5% higher, 1042. Let's look at National Aluminium, 1% higher, 9590. Power Grid, 1% higher, 253. We'll wait for Mileen Vasudev to join us. Yes. Mileen, welcome to the show. A very, very quick take on your top call today. Markets are yet to open. What are you looking on the charts that promises a nice bounce at current levels?
There are two stocks which I have taken out. That is, one is TVS Motor. Yesterday we saw a good price and volume action in this stock. Currently trading at 1384. One can keep a stop loss of 1350. The target would be 1440 and 1470 level. The second stock is Maharashtra Seamless, which has closed on the higher side. That is at 501 levels. Keep a stop loss of 480, and the target price would be 540 and 560 levels.
Okay, let's take them one by one. Of course, Tata Motors has been an outstanding outperformer. The stock consolidating at fresh record highs. And when you see the July expiry, it's gained about 6.4% on the trot. And of course, it's opening now at a daily, weekly, and monthly high. That's how Mileen is looking at Tata Motors. And the other stock that you mentioned is Maharashtra Seamless, I think. Am I right here, Mileen? What looks good on the charts when it comes to Maharashtra Seamless?
If you check Maharashtra Seamless on the daily chart, you witness a inverse head and shoulder pattern, which clearly suggests that the momentum on the upside is likely to continue. And I feel that there are results on 1st of August, but still one can buy at current levels, and in a couple of days time you could see the target price of say 540 to 560 levels.
Okay.
And Shailji, I have first,
so at the moment we've seen a very sharp bounce back. Yes, Mileen, please continue.
The first stock which I had recommended is TVS Motor at 1384. It is trading at 1384. Yesterday's close is at
Yes,
1380.
yes,
So you mentioned Tata Motor. I didn't mention Tata Motor. I mentioned TVS.
absolutely. No, I'm fairly sure on TVS Motors. That's what I spoke about. Let's again get both these charts on the screen. If the PCR can fire TVS Motors, yes. So it's now opening at a daily, weekly, and monthly high. In the month of July, it's gained 6.5%. The levels that you see are record highs, and Mr. Vasudev is wanting you to chase momentum even here. Let's get the other stock in, which is Maharashtra Seamless. Again, a 52-week high on the stock. It rose very, very sharply in yesterday's trade, closed at about 507 rupees. Fresh 52-week high here. And Mr. Vasudev, like everybody, is chasing momentum on the charts. So no surprises there. Sakshi.
Absolutely. Gaurang, I wanted your take on L&T, and then Milin, you also could share your technical views on L&T as well. Of course, after the earnings and the buyback news, your thoughts on the counter?
Sakshi, I term certain stocks in the stock market as generation stocks. And what do I mean by generation stocks?
Yes.
Simply, if you don't require funds, and if you happen to hold stocks like L&T in your portfolio, pass it on to the next generation as a gift and educate them how this particular stock has created wealth for you. And then they would pass it on to the next generation. I also believe, Sakshi, that L&T is one of those companies which is extremely investor friendly in terms of issuing bonus, in terms of dividend, etc., etc. With respect to the diversified business that they have on the balance sheet, I think they are roaring, all cylinders fired. And across the verticals, you are seeing great contribution coming through. Defense is the new business that they got into some time back after FDI in defense and Make in India, Made in India initiatives by the government of India. Uh, I don't think that you should look at buyback from any angle if you are a long-term investor. Just continue to hold the stock. If you get bad days, those are the opportunities to add more in case if you are holding L&T in your portfolio, or invest afresh in terms of new investment idea. As a disclosure, we do have a buy recommendation on L&T from a
Wonderful.
long-term point of view.
Milin, one very, very quick call. The stock that you like in the defense space before pre-open markets open.
BDL is one stock which I'm liking, and HAL. So BDL also is consolidating at current levels, and currently it is today's close I'm seeing is 1203. One can accumulate at current levels, keep a stop loss of 1180. On the higher side, you could see this stock testing 1250 and 1300 in couple of weeks.
Wonderful. Now let's wait for the market to open. Remember, Nifty's opening gap up 19,733. That's how it is on 52 points higher. Yes, that's the open, 19,735, 56 points higher. Bank Nifty 92 points higher, 45,920 so far. Let's look at the heavyweights, how they are moving. First off, L&T post earnings 2.5% higher, 26.22. This is the top gainer in the heaviest weighted counters. Infosys in the green, 0.7% higher, 1341. Let's look at the banks now. HDFC Bank flat at 1696. ICICI Bank 0.3% lower at 922. What is Axis doing? Up in the green, 0.3% higher, 965. And Kotak 1878, 0.2% higher. State Bank of India in the green, 610.90. It's a consolidating day on Nifty. Bank Nifty about 35 points higher, and Nifty IT is kicking it up 95 points higher at 29,835. Tata Motors DVR is what everybody will be betting on. It's opened 16% higher because of the share swap and of course the fantastic earnings that the company has declared. I want to see a couple of stocks, which is TVS Motors and Maharashtra Seamless, because those are the two picks that we have. Maharashtra Seamless has opened gap up 512.95. Remember, this is Mileen Vasudev's pick, and TVS Motors. It was supposed to open gap up higher. Yes, 1391, fresh record high. These are the two stocks that we are watching as far as Mileen is concerned. And from Gaurang's point of view, Indices Bank flat 1417, but remember it's a fundamental pick. And Ashok Leyland, these are the four stocks that we are watching, 182.85. That's how the broader markets are shaping up. Let me point out how FNO is moving. Just give me a second. The Nifty 43 points higher so far in trade. And within the FNO space, let's look at the top gainers. Of course, it's Tata Motors 3% higher, 659. Apollo Tyres 1.6% higher, 426. Buyers are back on Canara Bank, 0.7% higher, 335. What else is sticking? PNB 1.2% higher, 6150. M&M Finance 1% higher, 319. Gas Authority 0.5% higher, 118. So the high beta space as well as the broader markets are opening in fine shape on this lovely Wednesday morning. Sakshi, what have you seen?
The power stocks, Shell, Power Grid, NTPC ticking up today in the morning trade, early opening action. We can see them moving higher. Right now, Power Grid is up by 1%, 253. Let's look at NTPC as well in the same breath. So that's also up 3.4. Let's look at NTPC, that's slightly up in trade at 200 odd levels. Adani Power, Torrent Power, these are the stocks that one should watch out for as well. Apart from this, the auto space, again, that is also buzzing. Hero Moto, Bajaj Auto, these are the stocks that are up in trade right now. Mid-cap stocks, of course, up in trade right now. We're also looking at Tata Consumer Products ahead of earnings, that's up in trade. Let's also look at Canfin Homes. That stock is down by 5 odd %, and that's after the company has reported some kind of a fraud, in the Ambala branch. That's come to light, and after that you can see 6.5% down right now at 794 at this current moment. But definitely movement coming in on L&T, Tata Motors, Power Grid, Infosys, UPL is up in trade. JSW Steel is ticking up as well in the morning trade as well. Shell?
Let's get Mileen into the picture. Mileen, your view on the Nifty. We've opened 19,720. What would you do?
Currently, yes, you're seeing some kind of a consolidation going at the current levels, and I feel that unless and until Nifty doesn't move above 19,752 levels, I'm talking about the spot Nifty, one has to wait for 10-15 minutes more and then take a call upon Nifty. At present, I don't see any clear trend in this market. And on the lower side, it has got good support at 19,675 and 19,621. But real momentum will come only if Nifty in today's trading session.
Mileen.
Yeah. Pardon?
Okay. Mileen, I take your point. We'll wait for the first candle, 15-minute candle to settle. I would request you to come up with a very good pick on the market now that they are open. And in the meantime, I'll look at the broader space. Advanced decline is evenly matched 1:1 in the broader markets. Apart from the changes that we see in the Nifty and the Nifty Bank, also the Nifty IT index, the top performing index today is Nifty FMCG, 0.5% higher, 52,560. The PSU banking basket is a fire, 45.23. And of course, the auto and the realty space is also doing pretty well. A sea of green across the markets. The broader market Nifty 500 advanced decline is 1:1. Let's get Gaurang back into the picture. Gaurang, I'm going to give you a handicap, which is that you can't name State Bank of India, but within the PSU banking basket, what do you like fundamentally?
Canara Bank, stellar set of number last week, Shell. And I think after a brief period of consolidation between 280 and 300, the stock has managed to found its ground purely on fallback of earning visibility. And my sense is that this is just again a humble beginning from Canara Bank. 380, 400 plus could be the targets over a longer period of time.
Okay. Gaurang, how are you looking at the oil and gas basket? The oil stocks are also up, the upstream majors, of course, with the Brent crude again ticking up at $83. The focus is coming back on the upstream majors. The entire oil and gas pack, how do you look at this space?
Sakshi, I'm glad you asked me this question. And I'll require a little bit of extra time to explain the entire sad story of oil and gas companies. Now let's talk about crude oil. So sometime back we had crude oil prices at 130, $135 a barrel. I'm talking about Brent and NYMEX.
Yeah.
Then we saw it coming down. It went to sub $30 a barrel. When it went to 130, it didn't do anything. When it went to $30, these companies didn't do anything. Today at about 80, $85 a barrel, I don't see any kind of excitement other than the dividend ratio and the kind of dividend that these companies have to dole out to the government of India because it's one of the largest stakeholders. We do have coverage on ONGC, GAIL, Oil India, HP, BP, IOC. But in terms of earnings, I feel that it has let down investors big time. So if you are in the market for making some relatively safe investment ideas, then these are the companies to look at. But if you're looking at price appreciation, then I think you will face disappointment in case if you end up owning any of these companies. Having said that, Sakshi, uh, I believe the reliance or the dependence on gas and oil is going to come down over a period of time with the kind of alternative clean and green fuels that the government is talking about. Over here, I would like to, uh, you know, uh, highlight gas-related companies which are into CNG and LPG.
Okay.
Case in point, Mahanagar Gas, Gujarat Gas, Gujarat State Petronet Limited, IGL, Petronet LNG. I think these are the stories that you should look at over the next couple of years in terms of volumes picking up and, of course, availability. Getting connected via Pan India distribution network.
Fantastic. Okay, Milene, your view on the oil and gas space as well, and any of the stocks that you like?
If you see that Reliance is a stock which is now at present it is slightly correcting, but it
Yes,
has got
please
a good
continue.
it has got a good support at around 2463 levels. Now, if it manages to hold this level of 2463 levels, then there is a fair chance again that Reliance is likely to move higher and test the levels of 2500 and 2550 and 2600 in couple of weeks time.
Okay. Gaurang, another thing that I wanted to discuss with you is that, we've been talking all about this Tata Motors DVR. Fantastic June so far. It started off with HDFC Bank merger. Reliance announced the Financial demerger. We saw ITC announcing it. Now Tata Motors is up. What's really happening here and what's next now?
So I think if you end up owning Tata Motors, and if you're a long-term investor, it might reward you with a JLR, Sakshi, over a longer period of time. This is on a lighter note, of course. But I know, again, I will say this. If you missed the bus in terms of investing into Tata Motors at 400, sub 400 levels, I think 630 or 650 is not a bad level because you have to pay price for every opportunity that you've lost. In terms of with Reliance, we are looking at 3,000 rupees target over a longer period of time. L&T, forget about the buyback. I mean, there is something hidden, Sakshi. If the stock is trading at 2,600 and if the buyback price is much, much higher than what the cash market price is, then there is something that the management knows that you and me don't know. So you need to be extremely careful. And I don't, like I mentioned, you don't have to kind of, give out. But yeah, one sector that I feel which has been a sideways performer, that is power generation, power transmission. My
Yeah.
sense is companies like Tata Motors, Torrent, I beg your pardon, Tata Power, Torrent Power, NTPC, companies like REC, Power Grid would be the stocks to look at in terms of the government policies, which is talking about adding almost about 360 to 370 gigawatts of new
Yeah.
power generation, which will focus on solar and wind. So look at power transmission and distribution and power generation companies.
Fantastic. Um, Gaurang, another space I wanted to discuss is the banks, of course, banks and the NBFC space. We've discussed this before, but big earnings today. Axis Bank, NII is expected somewhere around
Shail sir, what happened?
11,928 crore rupees over here. The net profit is likely to be around 5,800 crore rupees. For Bajaj Finance, the revenue is expected at 8,086 odd crore rupees. The net profit at about 3,329 odd crore rupees. Your own sense of these two, bank and NBFC majors, and after the run up in the Bajaj Finance space, do you still expect after the earnings it could still be a stock to buy?
Surpassing 8,800, 9,000 would not be surprising for me for Bajaj Finance. And mind you, this is also one of those stocks which corrected because of the business outlook which the management gave out a couple of quarters back. And now look at the stock; it's made a stellar comeback. So that's Bajaj Finance for you. We have a buy recommendation. Axis Bank last year, last financial quarter, that is fourth quarter, they had to adjust for the buyout that they did for Citibank retail business and credit card business. All that is done and dusted, and I think you have a very clean balance sheet to look forward to. 1400 is the target on Axis Bank over a long period of time. So I think you have enough time to nibble into these stocks in case if you're a long-term investor.
Mileen, your take ahead of earnings, what would you recommend and what do you see on the charts for Axis Bank and for Bajaj Finance?
If you see Bajaj Finance, yes, it is a stock which is clearly now outperforming the benchmark indices, and at present it is consolidating at current levels, but has got good support at around, say, somewhere around 7543 levels. And if it manages to hold over there, and then on the higher side, we expect the stock to move towards, say, 7700 and 7800 in couple of months.
Okay. Gaurang, I also wanted to discuss with you the pharma space now and the healthcare pack as well. Of course, Cipla, Dr. Reddy's are all up for earnings today. But how are you looking at this entire space and approaching it at these levels? Any particular stocks that come to your radar?
You need to be extremely stock specific in the pharma universe, Sakshi. And gone are the days when the entire world was hit by pandemic. And as we all know, India is the pharmacy to the world, was, is, and will always remain. We have created a history in terms of supplying vaccines to other countries. But yeah, I mean, with the from lockdown to unlock and from pandemic to endemic, I think things have changed drastically for all of us. So we like four. There is a long list of investment ideas in the pharma universe. But if I have to restrict myself to four names, then those four names would be Dr. Reddy's, Divi's Laboratories, Cipla, and Sun Pharma. I would also like to mention over here diagnosis and hospitals or healthcare related companies. So we like in diagnosis we like Dr. Lal Path Labs, and in the hospitals or healthcare we like Apollo Hospitals, we like Narayan Rudalaya, and we also have a buy recommendation on Fortis Healthcare.
Okay. Since we are talking pharma and healthcare, I'd like to take your view on Yatharth Hospital's IPO that's opening today. How are you looking at this company, if you track at all?
Well, we've not come out with any recommendations, so I would not, you know, advise buy, sell, hold, or
Sure.
subscribe to the IPO. But let me say this to the benefit of your viewers and investors that be a little bit careful and cautious.
Okay. Mileen, your view in the pharma healthcare space, what is looking good on the technical charts?
If you see, Dr. Reddy has given a strong run up, but at the same time, now if you see Alchem, last 2 weeks back only we have recommended Alchem at lower levels. Now it is currently trading at say 3966 level. Yes, but we are expecting a good move in this. because if you see the monthly charts also, there is a clear rounding formation in the monthly chart, which clearly suggests that this counter is likely to test its all-time high and even extend its gains beyond that. So one should trade with positive bias in all.
Okay, let's now discuss the auto pack, since Nifty Auto is actually ticking up at the fastest pace among the Nifty sectoral indices right now, and of course the two-wheeler majors, Hero Moto, Bajaj Auto, TVS Motors we have already discussed, like Mileen had pointed out his top pick right here. Gaurang, from the two-wheeler basket, is there anything that you like?
So I would possibly put out a list in terms of preference from 1 to 3. So the
Okay.
first one would be, of course, Bajaj Auto, followed by TVS Motors, and then, of course, Hero MotoCorp. You also have to keep Eicher Motors on your radar in case if you're talking about two-wheelers, because they are the ones who manufacture the legendary bike called Bullet or Royal Enfield.
Okay. Are you a big, fan of Royal Enfield as well, and do you ride that on your weekends?
Well, it's more than four-wheeler, two-wheelers are very close to my heart. And since you asked me this question, let me say this. So I own a motorcycle which was again a legend bike, that is Yazdi and Java. And
Okay.
my Java motorcycle has completed 50 years of existence. My Java is an original Czechoslovakian bike, and
Okay.
manufactured in 1973, May 1973, and I still ride it, and I'm very proud of it.
That's fantastic and a good piece of anecdote. We shall, look for your pictures now on your Instagram and, Facebook handle, and put that up next time we're talking autos. Mileen, what
Uh,
about you? Are you also a bike lover like Orang, and do you also have preferences here in the two-wheeler space?
I didn't get you because your voice is not clear.
Mileen, I said, are you also a bike lover like Gaurang is?
Yeah,
And do you also
definitely.
have any preference, in terms of
Yeah,
both as a consumer and as a stock picker?
yeah. Let me tell you that I have driven Yamaha for nearly 25 years, and I had taken it for only 22,000 rupees. And after 22 years, I sold it for 1,700, and I bought a Royal Enfield. And I'm still driving Thunderbird, and I enjoy driving bikes and going for a long trip.
Okay,
Relentlessly.
any of you looking forward to the Harley, Davidson that's going to be right here in the showrooms right next to you guys?
Yeah,
well, so I think,
it,
Gaurang
Sakshi,
first and then Mileen, yeah.
yeah, so Sakshi, I think it was a great launch, both from Hero Harley, 440cc segment bike, and of course from Bajaj Triumph, 400cc bike in form of two models. And I think the entire community in terms of biking enthuse would be looking forward for possibly getting their hands on the throttle of these bikes. And the name speaks for itself, Triumph motorcycles as well as Harley. And I think for those who are familiar with the two-wheeler universe, would definitely agree with what I'm speaking right now. So yeah, possibly, if I end
Check
up
one, two.
owning a second bike, it would possibly be either a Triumph or a Harley, but it'll have to wait for a while because my Java's my darling.
Wonderful. Mileen.
pardon me. Yeah. See, if you see, my height is somewhere around 6'1", but I can't sit on a lower this thing. So I take a bike which is having a higher seat. So Thunderbird is one which I really enjoy driving it.
Okay, fantastic screen right there in
So
front of me. Three
I
bike lovers in
absolutely
front of me,
resent.
and Shail is now here with us. Shail, we were discussing the love for bikes and the two-wheeler space, and both Gaurang and Mileen have shared their top picks from the auto space as well, and the two-wheeler preferences, both as a consumer and a stock picker as well. What about you?
Okay, and I absolutely resent this conversation that I was not a part of it. I know for a fact that Gaurang and I are bike lovers. We go back a long way, and I didn't know that Mileen was also from our tribe. At 6 feet 1, there are only two bikes that suit him, which he mentioned very clearly. But let's convert this conversation into stock picking moment. Mileen, to you, which one do you like best in the two-wheeler space, Bajaj Auto, Eicher Motors or Hero Motors? All the charts are fantastic as of now.
Yeah, I would pick up Hero Motor on the charts because now for last 2 weeks it is consolidating at
Absolutely.
current levels, and now it is trying to give a breakout. So I would go with Hero Motor of good support at around say 3,000 levels. You could expect the levels of 3,300, 3,500 in couple of days.
Okay. And how about you, Gaurang? What do you like financially on the fundamental side when it comes to the auto space? You have the Hero Motors chart in front of you, and it's been one of the outperformers that we've seen on the Nifty, up about 2.3% in the past week. Gaurang, fundamentally, what appeals to you?
So in the two-wheeler space, if you ask me, my top two investment ideas would be Bajaj Auto and TVS Motors Shell. And in the four-wheeler space, I'll go with
Okay.
M&M followed by Tata Motors.
Okay, and we've already discussed two or three two-wheeler stocks. The market at 9:37 is at the day's high. Mileen, now you have no excuse. You've seen the first 15-minute candle. We are approaching 9:45. Nifty is at its day's high, 19,763. Remember, we are on T plus one, T minus one today, and Bank Nifty is flat. What would you want to do on the Nifty? Is there a trade there?
Yeah, actually, there is no clear trade, but yes, but I would go with it and keep a stop loss if say somewhere around now future in future I would keep a stop loss of today's low, and on the higher side I would place my bet at 19,801 would be my first target, and the second target would be 19,830.
Okay. Gaurang, another thing that I wanted to discuss is, of course, PNB. From the banking basket, we were discussing Axis Bank, Bajaj Finance, but from the PSU banking space, you did mention Canara Bank earlier. Ahead of earnings, how would you look at PNB, which has had a fantastic run up so far?
So I only hope that the gross and net NPL, number should not look ugly, Sakshi, because PNB is known for, being a little bit notorious in terms of reporting numbers with respect to provisioning going up, gross and net NPA, getting vulnerable because of the loan book being exposed to vulnerable sectors. Having said that, we have recommendation on PNB from a long-term point of view. But since the numbers are going to come out, I think I would just hold my horses, possibly look at numbers, dissect them, and then revisit our targets.
Got that. Mileen, what about you on PNB?
If you check the graph of PNB, then it is clearly at present trading slightly sideways and now taking a good support at around 59 levels. And from there, it has bounced back. Even the momentum indicators are positively poised. So on the higher side, yes, you could expect the targets of say 65 and 68 in a couple of days' time.
Okay, that's what we've discussed on PNB. Remember, it's at a 4-year high on the charts and trading at 0.7 times book value, deep undervaluation here as well. This is a question both to Mileen as well as Gaurang. Both of you have seen the markets for now close to 3 decades. And, we are seeing a deep value being unlocked in the railway space as we speak over the last 1 month or so, and even now if you look at rights, it's trading at a record high 505. Over to you, Gaurang, first. I have 18 railway related stocks in front of me on my screen, and fresh 52-week highs, fresh record highs. I see across the board. Deep value being unlocked. Gaurang, what would be your 2 or 3 top picks in this space?
So I think if we are talking about the, long-awaited change for Indian Railways, if you're talking about 400 trains with a tag Vande Bharat running across Pan India through its rail network, so I think stocks like IRCTC and IRFC would do phenomenally well. I will also agree with the point, Shell, that other companies which are associated with Indian Railways would also definitely tend to perform well purely because of the order book. We have dedicated freight corridors. You would have not imagined goods train getting stacked one on one as far as containers are concerned and running and chugging along the Indian rail
Absolutely.
network.
Yeah.
But that has become a possibility. So my sense is that these are really exciting times for stocks which are associated with Indian Railways.
So Gaurang has 2 picks. IRCTC, the ticketing giant that the railway has. Remember, this is India's most profit-making e-commerce site, as also the one that is completely and totally the busiest that we see in our economy. Let's get Mileen on the show. Mileen, the railway space is ticking with record highs, whether it's RITES, IRFC, RVNL, the entire PSU basket here unlocking a lot of gains. What, according to you, on the charts looks good for the medium and the long term?
Yeah, I would go with the rights because though it is near all-time high in the sense, but last week only it has given a strong breakout with good volume, and this suggests that there is much more upside in this counter. At current price, yes, it is risk to reward ratio would not be favorable with you, but definitely at lower levels one can accumulate this stock. On the higher side, you could see the levels of say somewhere around 530 to 545 levels could be tested on. The second stock which you have said was RVNL. Yes,
Okay.
2 days back only we have seen a good accumulation over here in the range of 128 to 129 levels. Now it is consolidating at current levels. Once it moves above 133 levels, then you could see that RVNL could test the levels of say 145 to 160 levels in couple of weeks' time.
Okay, 2 or 3 things that I'd like to mention as far as the entire railway universe is concerned. Both these stocks that the gentleman referred to you are at record highs. But the beauty here is that deep value is being unlocked in this space. If you look at rights as a business, it's at about 500, 532 for the moment. But you look at how beautifully the operating margin and the other fundamental numbers are stacked. We have a market capitalization of about 11,800 on rights. Of course, a record high that is coming in. But in terms of other details, it has a revenue of about 2,628 crores, earnings over the past 12 months of about 542 crores. This, of course, has 72% ownership from the government, very, very high liquidity, and as Mileen pointed out, a record high on the transaction. As of now, 52-week range is about 250 to 503. So he advises that you sort of wait it out, let the stock correct a bit. A huge amount of cash on the balance sheet, about 3,400 crore rupees on rights, and literally no debt. So these are the kind of values that are getting unlocked in the markets as far as rights is concerned. Coming back to Gaurang, wagon makers, Texrail, Titagarh wagons, Jupiter wagons, anything that catches your fancy on the wagon side?
So, I mean, this is not a recommendation, but Titagarh Wagon, I think, post the kind of developments and corporate announcement that the company made. And not to forget, I think, there has been a huge shift from the traditional railway coaches to the new avatar coaches that we are seeing. And once again, I think if you are going to see the change that is happening, I think companies like Titagar, Wagon, and likewise would be the beneficiary in terms of huge orders that will come through. Once again, let me say this is not a recommendation. This is just a view on the sector and the stock.
Yes. Absolutely. And Mileen would now comment on the Titagar wagon chart that we are just bringing on the screen at 680. It's a vertical rise that we've seen, a fresh record high. And as I was telling you, a lot of value is unlocking in all these, deep value stocks. Titagar wagon somewhere in June was at 194 rupees in February, and it's at 680. It's risen like a snake. What do the charts tell you about Titagar wagons, Mileen?
Well, if you see this is a vertical rally, I would start booking in my profits at current levels. I will not add at in this level currently, but this I'll start trailing my stop loss. Now the stop loss where you can trail your stop loss is somewhere around, say somewhere around 580 levels. You can trail the stop loss, but I would not recommend to buy over here because this rally is very vertical, and you could see a good correction also coming in this stock when the market starts correcting.
Fair point, and very well taken. The stock has multiplied 3.5 times over the last 4 months. Ideally, these are not great entry points, but should you be invested in Titagar wagons, a fabulous advice coming in that keep on raising your stop loss so that if the market corrects sharply, it's the market that takes you out and ensures that your profits remain in place. A couple of points that I want to mention on RVNL as well. You see the price in front of your screen, but again, it might be at fresh record highs. Fact remains that these companies are deeply undervalued, and it's the value unlocking in the entire PSU banking and the PSU ownership sector that's coming in. Market capitalization of about 26,970 crores and a PE of 19 on RVNL. So this is the railway basket that our two analysts prefer. RITES and RVNL in the PSU bank, in the PSU space, in the railway segment. Let me touch base again with Gaurang. Gaurang, you can't run the railway without bearing companies, and one stock that literally always has been a multi-bagger is Timken India. The stock at the moment trading somewhere like 3,300 rupees, way off its all-time high, which is somewhere like 3684. Would you comment on Timken or the bearing industry?
Well, not only railways, but automotive industry, engineering companies. This is the basic and core component that goes into, making a successful growth story going forward from here on. Again, no specific recommendation in terms of buy, sell, and hold, but yeah, Timken India. Well, the only issue is Shell that it's not a very highly traded counter in terms of volumes, both NSE, BSE. So if you are looking at short to medium term, I would not recommend that, and I'm not capable of recommending on short to medium term. But long term, I think, and even if you look at the India's growth story of becoming the next trillion-dollar economy, I think these are the companies that you should possibly look at.
Okay, and the final stock price that we'll check on today's show will be Timken India. It goes to Mileen. Mr. Vasudeva, 200 DMA is where the stock is taking support. Would you give a long-term view on this multi-bagger multinational that is there on the screen?
Michelle rightly said that it is taking a support at the 200-day moving average line, that is at 3135 level, but it is not giving any clear setup to go long on this counter. I would pass. I would say I will not add the position because there should be some setup going forward. which could lead this stock to on a higher side. So at present, I would pass this stock.
I
Okay,
just
ladies
wanted
and
to
gentlemen, no
just
traction
wanted to
coming in
take
on Timken India.
Shell just
Yes.
wanted to take one view of Milene on Jyoti Laboratories. It's again showing some momentum after yesterday's 20% sharp up move, 4% up right now. On the charts, Milene, would you want to see this chart on Jyoti Labs and tell us what should one do?
See, yesterday only we had a 20% rise. Now it is consolidating. We are seeing a doji candlestick pattern. But yes, I would recommend to buy on lower side. That is, if it comes to say somewhere around 280 or 275, one can start adding in this stock. On the higher side, yes, in a couple of months you could see the stock testing the levels of say somewhere around 350 to 375.
Okay, let's wrap the market here. And thank you, Gaurang and Milene, for joining us on this wonderful show. Of course, one of these days in Bombay, we all three need to go out biking, and Sakshi can tag along as well. But let me just wrap up what's happening on the broader theme. Nifty, days high, 91 points higher, 19,772. Remember, it's shrugging off the 3-day ennui that it was into. So the 10 EMA has held, and this is how the market is moving. Amongst the heavyweights, the top gainers are L&T up 4%, stunning earnings, nice upgrades coming in from brokers. 2663, remember, this is a record high. We've seen gains on Reliance, 1.3% higher to 25.19. This stock is also now reacting after 3 down days. ITC 1.2% higher, 467.80. Kotak in the green, 1887. We have Infosys 0.5% higher, 1340. We have ICICI and HDFC Bank on the red side, but these gains are absolutely minor, no problems at all, and that is how it is. Sakshi.
Absolutely, Shell. Fantastic move on the markets, and you're looking at even ITC, now up in trade 1.2% higher. You have Britannia, so the FMCG stocks are also pulling up right now. HUL is up as well in trade right now. So FMCG stocks, you have the realty space, the auto pack, all of them supporting the market move right here. So with that, we'll quickly wrap up this edition right here. Many thanks to both our guests, Gaurang and Milene, and also many thanks, Shell, for sharing all those insights. The market's looking up after those 3 days of consolidation right ahead of the F&O expiry. We'll continue to track the market momentum for you. So throughout the day, you should stick with us on Business Today TV. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and also continue to engage with us on our other social media platforms as well. Until then, many thanks for tuning in.